All right, let's talk about the absolute legends of the battlefield. Today, we're counting down the most formidable, the most brilliant, and let's be honest, the most terrifying warriors to ever walk the earth. But what is it, really, that turns a warrior into a legend? Is it just about being the strongest? Or is it about tactical genius? Maybe it's the sheer, unbelievable scale of what they conquered. That's the big question we're going to explore as we count down our top 10. So, to keep things clear, we're judging everyone on this list by two main things, based on our sources. First, massive success in conquest. And second, pure, undeniable skill on the actual battlefield. Those two things are what build a legacy. Okay, with our criteria set, let's get this countdown started. We're going to kick things off with numbers 10 down to 6, warriors whose names you definitely know. Kicking off our list at number 10 is Richard I of England, aka Richard the Lionheart. Now here's the thing about Richard. The very qualities that made him a pretty awful king are exactly what made him such an incredible warrior. I mean, he spent maybe 6 months of his entire 10-year reign actually in England. His mind was always on the fight. And his dedication to the fight was just next level. Get this. During the Third Crusade, he was so sick he had to be carried around on a stretcher. But did that stop him? Nope. He supposedly grabbed a crossbow and started picking off guards on the castle walls himself. That's how you earn a name like the Lionheart. Coming in hot at number 9 is the man who was basically the boogeyman for the Roman Republic, Hannibal Barca of Carthage. This guy is hands down one of the greatest military minds in all of history. See, Hannibal didn't just wait for Rome to come to him. He took the fight to them. He marched his army, and yeah, that includes war elephants, over the freaking Alps in the middle of winter. It was a move that should have been completely impossible. And for almost 20 years, he was on Roman soil running rings around much larger armies. And get this, he was funding most of the war himself. Just incredible. At number 8, we have a name that struck absolute terror into the hearts of people in the 5th century, Attila the Hun. As the leader of the Huns, he was practically undefeated, and he carved out a massive empire across Europe. And Attila wasn't just content to fight one Roman Empire. No, he decided to take on both of them. He constantly attacked the Eastern Roman Empire, basically forcing them to pay him off. And then he just turned his attention west and started tearing through their provinces, bringing the entire Roman world to its knees. Our number 7 is the legendary warrior king of Sparta himself, Leonidas. Now here's a really cool detail. Most Spartan kings were actually exempt from the agoge, that brutal state training program. But Leonidas wasn't originally supposed to be king, which means he went through the exact same grueling, soul-crushing training as every other Spartan warrior. He was forged in that fire. And of course, you know the number, 300. At the famous Battle of Thermopylae, he led his personal bodyguard of 300 elite Spartans against a Persian army that was just unimaginably huge. They knew it was a suicide mission, but their last stand has become one of the most epic stories of defiance in history. All right, cracking the top half of our list at number 6 is Spartacus. This is a man who went from an enslaved soldier to a gladiator forced to fight for entertainment to the leader of a massive rebellion that nearly brought the Roman Republic to its breaking point. Spartacus was an absolute genius when it came to unconventional tactics. Like one time, the Romans had his army trapped on top of Mount Vesuvius. So what did he do? He had his men weave ropes out of wild vines, and they rappelled down a sheer cliff face that the Romans weren't even guarding. They completely flanked the Roman army, caught them by surprise, and wiped them out. Just a brilliant example of using your brain to beat the odds. We are now entering the top 5. Okay, these guys, these are the warriors who didn't just win battles. They reshaped entire regions and inspired a level of fear that became legend. And number 5, we have Vlad III of Wallachia. You probably know him by his, other name, Vlad Dracula. And let me tell you, his terrifying reputation wasn't just a story. It was something he earned through pure brutality on the battlefield. He got the nickname Vlad the Impaler for his favorite method of execution, which he used to create absolute psychological horror in his enemies. He brilliantly used guerrilla tactics to fend off the massive Ottoman Empire. In one legendary night raid, he and his men dressed up as Ottoman soldiers, snuck into their camp,
and caused so much chaos that the Ottomans started attacking each other in the dark.
Number 4 is one of the most famous men in all of history, Gaius Julius Caesar. And while he was a masterful politician, it was his military genius that was the real engine behind his rise to absolute power in Rome. Caesar's path to the top was a masterclass in strategy. First, he conquered all of Gaul, which made him a total rock star back home in Rome. That fame, plus his incredible charisma, earned him the undying loyalty of his legions. He was famous for bold, lightning-fast tactics that ended battles before the enemy knew it hit them. And he just parlayed all that military success directly into political power, eventually becoming Rome's dictator.
Okay, our number 3 is a totally different kind of warrior. We're not talking about a king or a general. We're talking about Japan's most celebrated ronin, or masterless samurai, Miyamoto Musashi. This man was, to put it simply, an undefeated master of the duel.
Just look at that record. It's insane. 61 duels fought and 0 losses. But it wasn't just pure sword skill. Musashi was a master of mind games. He would famously show up hours late to a duel, totally messing with his opponent's head, making them angry and sloppy. He fought with his brain just as much as he did with his iconic 2 swords. Our runner-up at number 2 is probably the single most successful conqueror in the history of the world, Genghis Khan. He took the scattered, warring Mongol tribes and forged them into an unstoppable military machine that created the largest contiguous land empire we've ever seen. His success was all about brilliant and often brutal innovation. He structured his army as a meritocracy. If you were good, you got promoted. It didn't matter who your family was. This created an incredibly disciplined force of horse archers that was just devastating. He also perfected psychological warfare, convincing entire cities it was better to just surrender than to face the wrath of the Mongol horde. The result was an empire built at a speed that is just mind-boggling. So, we've seen kings, generals, rebels, and duelists. An incredible lineup. But there is one name that just stands above them all. It is time to reveal our number 1 greatest warrior in history. And at number 1, Alexander the Great. Alexander of Macedon didn't just set the bar for every conqueror who came after him, he was the bar. We're talking about a guy who other legends on this very list, like Caesar and Hannibal, spent their lives studying and trying to emulate. So why is he number 1? Well, for starters, he was completely undefeated in battle. He took on the Persian Empire, which was seen as invincible at the time, and just conquered it. He perfected the hammer and anvil tactic, using his infantry as the anvil to hold the enemy in place, while his cavalry acted as the hammer, smashing into their rear. His military genius was so profound that the other greats saw him as the ultimate warrior. And if you need any more convincing, just look at this number. He conquered most of the known world, building an empire that stretched all the way from Greece to India. And he did all of it before he died, at the age of 32. So there you have it, our countdown of history's 10 greatest warriors. From Richard the Lionheart all the way to Alexander the Great, these are the men whose legacies were forged in the heat of battle, and whose actions literally shaped the world we live in today. But it leaves us with one last really important question. We can sit here and celebrate their genius, their strategy, their incredible victories, but we have to remember that the greatness they achieved on the battlefield always came at an enormous human cost. And that's a part of their legacy that we can never forget.